What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all from practically the middle of nowhere here in Petersburg, Kentucky. And here, actually, we are not far from the Ohio-Kentucky line. Actually, yeah, I mean, really the only thing that separates it is the Ohio River. But here, in this back property, on this little trail that we're walking on right now, there's something absolutely incredible here, and that is the USS Sachem. The USS Sachem is a very storied vessel. Originally, the ship was constructed in 1902 in Wilmington, Delaware, which is, I'd probably say about three states away from Kentucky. And it was commissioned by a man, a very wealthy railroad tycoon named John Rogers Maxwell. Now, John Rogers Maxwell, he was a millionaire many times over. Now, when Maxwell went to have this ship commissioned, the shipyard which it was built at in Wilmington, Delaware, the shipyard would construct this ship to be 185 feet long and about 10-15 feet wide. The ship originally was supposed to be a racing yacht, which it was. Originally, it was a racing yacht. Originally, it was a ship where this wealthy tycoon and his friends and family could just sit around and have fun. And now, such a ship with such a massive size, it required its own crew. It required its own captain. It required its own people to run up the masts and run up the other things to keep the ship going. So this ship was very, very well maintained. But then, in about 1910, ownership of the boat will change. It does run into a collision with another boat. However, the wreck itself, or the collision, I should say, it was minuscule. The ship, they were able to get her out on the water again, get her patched up within about 4 months. Now, unfortunately, after the collision and the repairs, John Rogers Maxwell, he will pass away, and his wife will sell the yacht to Metson Metcalf, who he was another very wealthy businessman from the area. And he'll keep this boat until World War I breaks out and America is brought into the war. And the Sachem, it will be enlisted to serve its country in the United States military. Well, I should say the United States Navy. And who will be under her control, or who will be boarding her for the time that it serves World War I? Well, that is none other than Thomas Edison. You see, Thomas Edison, this boat, he performed over 30 different experiments while on this vessel. So this vessel was the very first Navy research vessel, or the very first Navy research lab in the entire United States fleet. So it would go on, it would be a patroller, it would watch out for different mines and whatnot, and that's what it would do for the entirety of World War I. Well, it would change hands a couple of more times. The names, or the what it would be under, it would be called the Phenakite. I believe another would be called the Seeker. And well, anyway, it saw a lot up until about 30 years ago, when it was brought here where it now presently sits. It was supposed to be a renovation, but obviously that did not happen. Now, another cool thing about the Sachem is it is also no stranger to Hollywood. Why I say that is this boat right here, it was the backdrop for the Madonna's song Papa Don't Preach. You could probably notice it in the music video. So there's that as well about this amazing vessel that sits here along the Ohio River, which is very sad. I mean, considering how much history it has, looks like it's just sitting in the mud. And now if you look closely, you can see where the where it had a second deck at one point. Well, during World War I and World War II, when it was fitted to be a fighting vessel, or a fighting / research vessel, what they did is they removed like all the sail work, like all the sailboat work and all that good stuff, and they built on top of it. They fitted it with guns. I believe that was more for World War I when they did that, but obviously that that's a bit different considering that the first floor is gone. And it does look like you can walk up it. So I'm going to shut the camera off, and I'm going to walk around this vessel just a little bit. Well, that was rather easy. I thought it would be a little bit harder to walk up that, but if you just follow like the ABCs, or how I look at it, kind of how they have it set up where you have to put your feet, it's actually not all that hard. But as I was saying, the previous owner who moved this boat to where it presently sits, which, you know, it's been about 30 years, he was the one who put this engine in. And now this engine, when it wasn't going upstream, it could go about 9 knots. But when it was pushing against the current, well, let's just say it could barely do 2. So now that I get to see it up close, this is a very large engine. And now that we've seen that, let's check this place out. Let's just be careful though. I don't want to get hurt. I do want to be respectful. The boat, no one in the community really claims, but the property owner, which is right over there. By the way, I will say they do have a really nice trail leading up to this. So just as long as you're being respectful, you're not really, you know, doing anything crazy, or in other words, stupid, I don't think they care too much. In fact, who knows, maybe they like people being here. Well, I mean, not on the boat. That's one thing that I've heard that people don't, or people around here that don't want you to do. But again, that's kind of a common sense thing. I'm just doing this for the educational sense that it is. And since we are walking, I do want to see some of the old Victorian trim. There is some of that left. Originally in its sailing / yacht days, it did have a lot of wood finishing, and it also had what is the word I'm looking for? It also had, if you can believe it, it also had working fans. But sadly, looks like there's not really any of, oh, actually no. You can see some of that right here. Who knows, maybe we can find some Victorian leftovers from the period. Dude, this is really cool. Looks like these portholes are gone. Now, this is another thing that I wanted to show you guys. This engine that is one of the original engines, a boiler, that is big. This engine right here, this is one of only 3 engines that were ever built like this in the entire world. And one of them, well, we're looking at right now, it's sitting in the mud. But that's just so cool to think that a big engine like this powered such a vessel. And I can't tell you how bad I've wanted to see this boat. Originally, what got my attention was a part-time explorer. He and his people came out here, and he did a really cool video on it. Then another favorite vlogger of mine, Scott on Tape, he was out here as well, although he didn't get on top of it, and I can kind of see why, because that's a big hole, and that is a lot of mud. And now we're coming up to the bow. Oh my gosh, like this is so much cooler, like when you get it, like when you're actually like on it. Oh my god, this is cool. Oh my god. Well, I wouldn't recommend going down there, just because no telling what mud and what other weird different types of diseases are found in the waters of the Ohio River. But other than that, I mean, like this is just incredible. Like in real life, like photos and videos do not do it justice. So now let's get to walking back. Now let's check out and see what all is left on the other side of the vessel, of the ship. And I don't want to fall through any of these big holes. Oh my gosh. Again, I say, like, just think of how much power this thing put out at one point. Like, dude, that is just absolutely crazy to think about. And, like, compared to, like, when you look at, like, old videos of this place, like, the boat itself is so unrecognizable. Like from the days when it was the Celt versus now as being the derelict USS Sachem. But I don't know, I hate that something with such an amazing amount of history attached to it is just sitting in like it's sitting so far out of the way. Like, wouldn't it be so cool if maybe the property owners and the state could like build a shed, like a big giant building over of some sort to house the ship as it sits right now. Then on top of that, maybe even build a small museum, you know, clean it up, maybe build like where people can walk across it and they can just admire the beauty as the rustic piece that it is now. Because obviously I'd say she's probably not gonna go anywhere. She's in, or the USS Sachem, she's in retirement. And well, but you know what? Her story is an amazing one. And even, you know, and depending on whatever happens, I'm glad that I got to see her for what she was, you know, because I imagine probably in my lifetime, she'll probably end up falling to the wayside. And we can't go into the hull, obviously, because there's nothing but water and dirt and grime. And yeah, I don't want to get stuck. Probably ruin it for everyone. Anyway, guys, let's get down. Then let's check out the bow. It's really cool, like looking at it from that angle. I said it once and I'll say it again. Videos and photos do not do this ship justice. This boat is huge. Like, you wouldn't think, like, I mean, 185 feet might not sound like too much on paper, but when you're at it, it'll put your mind in a whole different perspective. By the way, check this out. It still has some of the original paint. Like, you can see where it says USS Sachem. Now that is freaky. Well, not freaky, but freaky as in like coolest in the sense that something is still there from the period that still hasn't been wiped away. Yes, it's faded, but dude, just check that out. You can see, I think the S right there, and a little bit of like a green paint like right in there. That paint was awesome. Like the faded paint, especially if you're a history buff and you know the history about the USS Sachem, or a overall generalized history of it. And now that I've said that, let's check out the bow, like up close and personal. I mean, we can't go any farther than this because that's a lot of mud. But just look at this beauty. You can even see some of the paint like going up on the stern as well. Like especially, looks like that says Klein. Klein? That may have been one of the names that it was given. I don't know. As a boat guy, I grew up always being told that you never change the name of a boat, no matter what the circumstances, because that is a lot of bad luck. But I don't know, maybe that's just that varies from person to person. But still, look at the bow. Like, just think, like way back when this was a sailing vessel, it had a very ornate or a very ornate painting scheme. I think it was a painting scheme, or anyway, long story short, it had a lot of ornate artwork going like around the bow. But that's not the case anymore. She's got holes in her. So obviously, yeah, she's not moving, but you know what? She is just as beautiful where she's at. Mainly because too she's not going anywhere. So anyway, you guys, that's gonna be another vlog for another day. It took me close to 3 years to coming out here to see the USS Sachem. And you know what? I was not disappointed. In fact, I am very much mind blown by its size. 185 feet long. It's cool that it's over 120 years old, and she's a ghost of her former self, I'll say that much. She is the ghost, as named by some people, she is the ghost of the Ohio River, or the ghost ship of the Ohio River. Anyway, guys, that's going to be another vlog for another day. Remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care, and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.